Let's talk about how to perform and describe translations, which is just moving a figure up, down, left, or right. To describe how we're moving that figure up, down, left, or right, we use this notation, which is called a rule. We're going to be learning how to write rules for all of the transformations we're going to learn about this unit, and this is how you write the rule for a translation. XY is the first part, and it's always just XY. Those are the coordinates of your pre-image. And then you draw an arrow to the right, and then in the next parentheses you write x plus some number or minus some number, and y plus or minus some number. And those numbers are telling you how far to move horizontally, that's what A tells you, and how far to move vertically, that's what B tells you. Let me show you what I mean. Here we have triangle ABC with pre-image coordinates -7, -6, -7, -3, and -2, -6. And we're going to perform a translation using this rule. XY is going to become x plus 10 and y plus 8. That means that I need to move each of my pre-image coordinates 10 units to the right and 8 units up. So for each of my pre-image coordinates, I'll just start where it is and count 10 units to the right and 8 units up. And that's where I'll put my image coordinate. And for your answer, you just write down whatever coordinates you get. A prime is the point 3, 2. Alternatively, instead of counting 10 right and 8 up, you can also just add 10 to the original x value and add 8 to the original y value. -7 plus 10 is 3, and -6 plus 8 is 2. So let's try that again with B. So from my pre-image coordinate of B, I will move 10 units to the right and 8 units up. And that's where B prime is, which is the point 3, 5. And that's the same thing that you get if you do -7 plus 10 and -3 plus 8. That would give you the coordinates 3, 5. And do the same thing with C, 10 units to the right and 8 units up. And there's C prime, which is the point 8, 2, which is -2 plus 10 gives you 8, and -6 plus 8 gives you 2. So each time all you're doing to make this image triangle is moving each point 10 to the right and 8 up, 10 to the right and 8 up, 10 to the right and 8 up. Let's try another one. This time we're going to translate triangle DEF using the rule x minus 7 and y minus 2. This time I have subtraction instead of addition. Subtraction on x means that you're moving to the left, and subtraction on y means you're moving down. So for each of these points, starting at the pre-image point, I'm going to go 7 to the left and 2 down, which gives me the coordinates of -2, positive 1, which is also what you get if you do 5 minus 7, that gives you -2, and 3 minus 2 gives you 1. For E, again, I go to the left 7, down 2, gives me the coordinates of -4, -3, or F, you go to the left 7, down 2, and you get 1, -9. So these are the coordinates of our image triangle, which we got from going left 7 and down 2, left 7, down 2, left 7, down 2, or by subtracting 7 from each of the x's and subtracting 2 from each of the y's. But what's going on with our next rule? We only have x minus 4, and there's nothing being added or subtracted to y. Well, in this situation, that means that you're not going to go up or down at all. We're just going to move triangle GHI to the left 4 units. So move G to the left 4 units, that becomes G prime. That's the same thing as you get if you do 4 minus 4, that's 0, and then just copy down the 9 because I didn't add or subtract anything to y, so I don't add or subtract anything to y, so it's just 9. Move H 4 to the left, and move I 4 to the left, and we get our image. So all I did was move each of these 4 to the left to get my image coordinates. You'll notice this time our triangles ended up overlapping each other. You'll see that sometimes that the translation doesn't move the pre-image far enough away to make an image that's completely independent. Sometimes they overlap, like what you see here, and that's totally fine. Alright, I want you to pause the video and try the next one on your own. Translate triangle JKL using a rule of x minus 5 and y plus 8. Okay, let's see how you did. X minus 5 means I move to the left 5, and y plus 8 means I move up 8. Alternatively, you can do 5 minus 5 is 0, and 2 plus 8 is 10. And that's how I got my coordinates for j prime. I'll do the same thing for k prime, 5 left, 8 up, and for L prime, 5 left and 8 up, or subtract 5 from each of my x's and add 8 to each of my y's, and that creates my image triangle by moving each of these 5 left and 8 up. For our next few examples, I'm going to show you a completed transformation, and you're going to write a rule to describe what happened. By far the most important thing that you need to do in order to get started on a problem like this is identify which figure is the preimage and which figure is the image. Remember, we talked about that in the previous video, that the figure that doesn't have apostrophes is the preimage, that's where we started. And the figure that does have apostrophes, which are pronounced prime, that's the image, that's where we ended up. So looking at this transformation, I started at triangle NMO, and I moved it up to triangle N prime, M prime, O prime. You just had to figure out how far it moved. In order to do that, make sure that you're counting between corresponding coordinates. Don't count from M to O prime or from N to M prime, those aren't corresponding. You have to count from N to N prime or M to M prime or O to O prime, because those are the corresponding vertices. So example, from O to O prime, I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 units up. And for this translation, we actually didn't move left or right at all. So to write the rule for this transformation, I'm going to write xy, arrow to the right, and then x, comma, y plus 9. I'm not going to add anything or subtract anything from x because I didn't move left or right at all to get to my image. The only thing I did was move up 9 units, and I can express that by putting y plus 9. Let's try another one. First, identify which figure is the preimage and which figure is the image. This quadrilateral is the preimage because it's just P, S, R, Q, and this quadrilateral is our image because it's P prime, S prime, R prime, Q prime. So to figure out our translation, you have to count the horizontal distance between two corresponding points and the vertical distance between two corresponding points. So for example, if I pick P and P prime, I go to the left 8 units, and I go down 6 units. So to express that as a rule, we write xy, arrow to the right. That always is the same thing every time. And then you write whatever left movement you had, in this case minus 8, because I went to the left 8, and then whatever vertical movement you had, which in this case was down 6, so I'll write minus 6. This is the rule that would cause you to perform this translation. Alright, I want you to pause the video and try to describe this next translation on your own. Let's see how you did. Triangle TUV is our preimage, and triangle T prime, U prime, V prime is our image. So going from the preimage to the image, I go to the right 3 and down 5. So as a rule, I would write that as xy, to the right arrow, and then x plus 3, comma y minus 5. That means you move to the right 3 and down 5. And that's all you need to know about performing and describing translations. In our next video, we're going to move on to performing and describing reflections.